Hello everyone, welcome to Reno's Englishpedia. Today we are going to do the topic narration. Narration is also known by the other names such as indirect speech and reported speech. In this video, we are going to follow 3 simple rules to narration. The words spoken by someone can be presented in 2 ways. The first one is direct speech or direct narration. For example, Mr. Sharma said, "The children are going for a dance recital." The other way is indirect speech or indirect narration. For example, in the same sentence we have, Mr. Sharma said that the children were going for a dance recital. The direct speech is enclosed within inverted commas, and a comma is used to separate the direct speech from the reporting verb. On the other hand, in the indirect speech, no inverted commas are used, and neither is a comma used to separate the different parts of the sentence. Please remember, when changing from direct to indirect speech, the tense of the reporting verb is never changed. For example, let's look at the sentence, "The boy said to his mother, 'I want you to listen to me.'" This sentence is in direct speech. Over here, the 2 parts of this sentence are, the first part is reporting verb, that is, the boy said to his mother, and the second part is direct speech, "I want you to listen to me." These 2 parts each have their subject, verb and object. In the reporting verb, the subject is the boy, the verb is said to, and the object is his mother. In the direct speech, the subject is I, the verb is want, the object is you, and to listen to me are the other words in the sentence. Now, with this knowledge available to us, let us move forward to the important rules for conversion from direct narration to indirect speech. The first point we have to keep in mind is that whether the tense in the direct speech will change or not. The second point we need to keep in mind are the rules we need to apply as per tenses, pronouns and adverbs. And finally, the rules which we have to apply according to the type of sentences, that is, assertive sentence, interrogative sentence, imperative sentence and exclamatory sentence. According to the type of sentence, there will be a change in the reporting verb, as well as there will be a change in conjunction. Now let us look at these points in detail. When we are talking about the universal truth, the historical fact, the scientific or the geographical fact, then there will be no change in the tense of the direct speech. For example, the teacher said, "Honesty is the best policy." This sentence in its indirect form will become, "The teacher said that honesty is the best policy." In the second example, we have the sentence, "My friend said, iron rusts in water," which is a scientific fact, and the indirect form of this sentence will become, "My friend said that iron rusts in water." Both "honesty is the best policy" and the sentence "iron rusts in water" are facts. They were true before, they are true now, and they're also going to be true later on in time. And therefore, the tense of these sentences will not change in the indirect form. The second case in which the tense of the direct speech will not change is when the reporting verb is in either present or the future tense. That is, when the reporting verb is either says or will say. For example, the boy says, "I watch movies with my friends every Saturday night." The indirect form of this sentence will become, The boy says that he watches movies with his friends every Saturday night. Over here, the verb watch has become watches, but this is not change in the tense of the verb. This is a change according to the subject verb agreement. In the first sentence in direct speech, we had I, which goes with the verb watch, but in the indirect form, we have the pronoun he, which needs the verb watches. Similarly, in the sentence, the girl will say to her friend, she is going to the party tomorrow. Will say is the reporting verb in the future tense, and its indirect form will become the girl will tell her friend that she is going to the party the next day. There will be no change in the tense of the verbs is going. Again, there will be no change in the tense of the direct speech if the tense in the direct speech is in either past perfect tense or the past perfect continuous tense. For example, the child said, I had finished my work before I went to play. In this sentence, had finished is in the past perfect tense, and when we change this sentence into the indirect form, it will become the child said that he had finished his work before he had gone to play. Since had finished was in the past perfect tense, there will be no change in this verb. However, in the verb went, this verb is in the simple past tense, and simple past will change into the past perfect tense. Similarly, in the sentence, the helper said, the stew had been simmering for hours when I switched off the flame. This sentence will become, the helper said that the stew had been simmering for hours when he had switched off the flame. As you can see, had been simmering is in the past perfect continuous tense, and therefore in the indirect speech it does not change. However, switched off the flame, this switched off verb is in the simple past tense, and therefore it changes into the past perfect tense, that is, he had switched off the flame. After having understood the sentences in which there will be no change in the tense in the direct speech, let us study the rules for narration. The first rule applies to the rule of change in tenses. The present tense will change into the corresponding past tense. For example, the simple present tense changes into the simple past tense. Do does is also in the simple present tense, but we forget this and do not change it. The corresponding simple past tense of do does is did, or depending upon the type of sentence, it will become the second form of the verb. For example, the boy said to his mother, I want a candy. This sentence will convert into the boy told his mother that he wanted a candy. Want is simple present tense, which changes into the second form of the verb, that is wanted. Similarly, the present continuous will change into the past continuous. For example, the sage said, the disciples are chanting. This will convert into the sage said that the disciples were chanting. Are chanting is the helping verb for present continuous. It will convert into were chanting. Again, the present perfect tense will change into the past perfect tense. For example, the tutor said the boys have revised all the important topics. This will become the tutor said that the boys had revised all the important topics. Have revised is the present perfect tense and had revised is the past perfect tense. Finally, the present perfect continuous tense will convert into the past perfect continuous tense. For example, the dancer said, the ballet has been touring for 2 months. It will convert into the dancers said that the ballet had been touring for 2 months. When we deal with the past tense, then simple past will change into the past perfect tense, that is, V2 will change into had plus V3. Similarly, the verb did is the second form of the verb do. It will change into had done. For example, the salesman said, I sold 20 mobiles in an hour. The indirect form of this sentence will become, the salesman said that he had sold 20 mobiles in an hour. The past continuous tense in the direct speech will convert into the past perfect continuous tense in the indirect speech. For example, the nurse said, the baby was sleeping when I arrived. Was sleeping is in the past continuous tense and its form will change into, the nurse said that the baby had been sleeping when she had arrived. Arrived is simple past and therefore it becomes past perfect in the form had arrived. When we are talking about the sentence in the past perfect tense or the past perfect continuous, then we find that there will be no change as we had studied earlier. Now let us talk about the modals. The modals will and shall will generally change into would. Should is only used in certain particular cases when there is some kind of advice or moral obligation. Can changes into could, may changes into might, must may change into had to if it is an obligation, or would have to if we are talking about some future obligation, and sometimes it will also remain must if we are talking about some permanent command or some kind of prohibition. Would, should, might, could, ought to, used to, in these models there will be no change. The second rule for change in narration is in pronouns. Let us study the sun rule to understand this change. When we have the first person in the direct speech, then the first person pronoun will be changed according to the subject of the reporting verb. If we have second person pronoun in the direct speech, then it will be changed according to the object of the reporting verb. However, if there is third person pronoun used in the direct speech, then there will be no change. Let us now understand this rule with an example. The guard said to the prisoners, I will not tolerate if you bully the other prisoners. Over here, I is the first person, you is the second person, and other prisoners is the third person in direct speech. Now, according to the sun rule, I, that is the first person in the direct speech, will follow the subject of the reporting verb, that is guard, and therefore the pronoun will become he. Similarly, you, that is the second person in the direct speech, will follow prisoners, that is the object in the reporting verb, and it will become they. Other prisoners, which is the third person in direct speech, since it is the third person, there will be no change, and therefore the sentence will become, the guard told the prisoners that he would not tolerate if they bullied the other prisoners. Now the last rule for change in narration is the change in adverbs. For example, this will become that and these will become those. Here becomes there and now becomes then. Similarly, ago becomes before. In the adverb last, it can be either the previous or the dash before dash. For example, the last day can become the previous day or the day before. Similarly, next can become the next or the following day, year or month. Today will become that day and tonight will become that night. Yesterday becomes the previous day or the day before, and tomorrow becomes the next day or the following day or the day after. For example, the salesman said to me, "We received these paintings only 3 days ago." Over here, the adverbs these and ago will be changed into those and before. For example, the salesman told me that they had received those paintings only 3 days before. Please remember to apply all rules simultaneously when you are changing the sentence from direct to indirect. Having understood the general rules of narration, it is now time to understand the rules according to the type of sentence we are dealing with. The first sentence that we are going to deal with is the assertive sentence. The sentence which declares or asserts a statement, feeling, opinion, incident, event, history, or anything is called an assertive sentence. It ends with a period, that is a full stop, and it can be either affirmative or negative. An assertive sentence in the direct speech can also be changed into the indirect speech using the 3-rule formula. The first rule will apply to the reporting verb. If we have the reporting verb said, then it will remain said. If we have says, it will remain says. And if we have will say, it will remain will say. However, if we have the reporting verb said to, it will convert into told. If we have the reporting verb says to, it will convert into tells. And if we have the reporting verb will say to, it will convert into will tell. According to the second rule, we have to remove the comma and the inverted commas and add the conjunction that. And the third rule is that all the other rules of narration are to be followed. For example, my husband said to me, "The cab driver charged me extra because I made him wait for an hour." So the answer in the indirect speech will be, "My husband told me." Said to will convert into told. Then you remove the commas and the inverted commas and add the conjunction that. My husband told me that. The cab driver is the third person, so there will be no change. The cab driver charged me. Charged me is simple past tense. Simple past changes into past perfect, so it will become had charged. And me is first person pronoun. First person pronoun will follow the subject, that is my husband, and it will become him. So the sentence will become, my husband told me that the cab driver had charged him extra because I, which is again first person, which will follow subject, so the pronoun will be he made second form of the verb, and it will become had made. Him is third form, so it will remain the same. And wait for an hour are the other words in the sentence, so there will be no change. So the final answer will be, my husband told me that the cab driver had charged him extra because he had made him wait for an hour. The next sentence to be studied for narration is the interrogative sentence. Interrogative sentences are those sentences which ask questions. Again, applying the 3-rule formula to these type of sentences, the first rule that we are going to apply is the rules for reporting verb. If the reporting verb is says or says to, it will convert into asks. If it is said or said to, it will convert into asked. And if the reporting verb is will say or will say to, it will convert into will ask. The second rule is the removal of commas and inverted commas. However, over here, there are two cases. The first case is that the direct speech may start with a question word, and in such a case, the conjunction will become the same question word. And the second case is that if the direct speech starts with an auxiliary or a helping verb, in such a case, the conjunction will be if or whether. The third most important rule, which is generally ignored, is the sentence structure of interrogative sentences. Normally, interrogative sentences have the structure verb, subject, and object. This structure needs to be changed into subject, verb, and object. And the last most important point is that if the direct speech starts with did, then did is the second form of the verb to do, and therefore it will convert into had plus third form of the main verb. The WH words like who, what, where, when, how are known as the question words, and the helping verbs are is, am, are, was, were, have, has, had, and all the other models. For example, let us study the sentence, Mr. Pavan said to the principal, did your school teams participate in the youth festival? So let us now apply all the rules one by one. Over here, the reporting verb said to will convert into asked. Then we need to remove the commas and inverted commas and add the conjunction if. If is added because the sentence in the direct speech is starting with the helping verb did. The third rule, that is the sentence structure, needs to be changed. So over here we can see that the direct speech is starting with the helping verb did. Then we have the subject, your school teams, and then we have the main verb participate. So this will convert into his school teams had participated. Did participate will convert into had plus third form of the verb participate. So it will become had participated. So the final sentence will become Mr. Pavan asked the principal if his school teams had participated in the youth festival. Now let us understand the second rule of conjunctions. For this we have the sentence, the new neighbor said, where do you donate the old toys? Over here the first rule, reporting verb said, will convert into asked. We have to remove the comma and the inverted commas and add the conjunction where, because the sentence in the direct speech is starting with the question word where. Then the third rule, that is the sentence structure, we can again see that the structure of the direct speech has the form of verb, subject and object, that is, do you donate the old toys? Over here, do is the first form of the verb which will convert into the second form of the verb donate, that is donated. So the sentence will become where they donated the old toys. So the final sentence that we will have is the new neighbor asked where they donated the old toys. One final thing to remember in interrogative sentences is that the question mark will convert into a period or a full stop. The third sentence that we are going to study for narration are the imperative sentences. Imperative sentences are those sentences which either order, command, or request someone to do something. Again, over here, the reporting verb will change into ordered, commanded, or requested according to the tone of the sentence in the direct speech. The verb in the direct speech changes into the infinitive form of the verb, that is to plus first form of the verb, and in these type of sentences, no conjunction is used. For example, I said to my friend, please help me in finishing my project. Over here, please denotes a request and it will transfer into the reporting verb. So the sentence will become, I requested my friend to help me. Help is the verb which will convert into the infinitive form of the verb, and thus it will become to help, and me will remain the same because it is following the subject of reporting verb which is I. So it will remain me, and the rest of the words will remain the same. Similarly, in the sentence, the teacher said, keep quiet students, do not talk to each other when I am explaining the concepts. This is almost two sentences in one sentence, and in order to do this, we must take them one at a time. So the sentence in the direct speech, keep quiet, is an order which will transfer to the reporting verb. Thus it will become the teacher ordered. Again, ordered whom? It is the students. So the students can be written before we write keep quiet. So the sentence will become the teacher ordered the students to keep quiet. Keep is the verb which will take its infinitive form, and therefore we have to keep. And now we need to take the second part of the sentence. We need to add and. Both the sentences are being combined because we are talking to the students, so we need not make them different sentences. And do not talk will convert into not to talk to each other when I am explaining the concepts is an assertive sentence, so it will become when she was explaining the concepts. Please remember that in such type of mixed sentences, you need to apply rules one by one so that you do not make a mistake. The last sentence to be studied in narration is the exclamatory sentence. An exclamatory sentence is a sentence where some kind of emotion like joy, sorrow, hope, regret is expressed. In such sentences, the reporting verb will convert into exclaimed with, and then you need to write which emotion is being expressed like joy, sorrow, hope, grief, or you can also write joyously exclaimed or sorrowfully exclaimed or grievously exclaimed. The second rule, when we remove the comma and inverted commas, we need to write the conjunction that. And the third rule will be that the sentence will be changed into the assertive form. For example, the sentence, "What a masterstroke," said the cricket commentator. In this sentence, what a masterstroke is the exclamatory form of the sentence, and it can be written in the assertive form as it was a masterstroke. This sentence will be converted in the following manner. The cricket commentator exclaimed with admiration because he is admiring the stroke, so it will become exclaimed with admiration. Then we remove the commas and inverted commas and add the conjunction that, and it was a masterstroke will convert into it had been a masterstroke. So the final sentence will be the cricket commentator exclaimed with admiration that it had been a masterstroke. In the second sentence, we can see that it is a sentence expressing regret. Woe to me expresses regret. So this sentence will be converted in the following manner. The regret will be transferred to the reporting verb. So it will become, she regretfully exclaimed that. That will come instead of commas and inverted commas. And I have again missed will convert into, she had again missed a golden opportunity. Have missed is present perfect and it will convert into past perfect, that is had missed. With this, we come to the end of our video. I hope that you have understood the rules of narration and are now ready to apply the through rule formula to narration. Please do not forget to like and to share with your friends and family. There is a bell button at the bottom. Please click on it for further notifications. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel as it encourages me to make more videos. Thank you so much.